Hi, it's Lisa, and today I'm outside in my backyard on a beautiful afternoon. Today I am talking about how to choose a therapist, and the idea came to me today because I am in a practice where I get a lot of referrals for new people, and many of those people, because I get referrals from doctors. I work in a clinic a couple days a week. There's people who have never had a therapist before, and so I find myself talking about it quite a bit. So I want to go over some practical concerns, which of course are important, but spend a little bit of time just correcting maybe a potential misconception, and then giving a couple of points to consider. Maybe you've considered them before, maybe you haven't, about how to find someone who's going to be a good fit for you and what you expect out of therapy, because not everybody can be everything for every person. That goes both ways. So the practical concerns, always, of course, money comes into play. If you have insurance and you want insurance to pay for it, you need to find somebody who takes your insurance. And I always direct people to the website psychologytoday.com. As soon as you go to that website, you'll see right across the top of the page therapist finder and a place to put in a zip code. So then you find therapists that are in your location, and on the left-hand side of the screen there's going to be a bunch of filters, and for your location you can just go in and filter out all kinds of practical things, whether you want somebody who is in the zip code by your house or by your work. And I mention this because sometimes you may have let's say a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday schedule, and you want to work outside those hours. Well, you could find a really great therapist, and that person also has 9 to 5 hours and Monday through Friday, or they wouldn't be able to see you outside of your work schedule. So you might want to find somebody who you can see on your noon hour. And just in the state of Oregon, I can say that most larger employers are required to have to give employees sick time, and sick time can be used for medical appointments, and a therapy appointment can be considered a medical appointment. You can go ahead and call it a medical appointment. Nobody's going to probably question you. Just an idea that you might want to consider, that maybe seeing somebody outside of work hours isn't necessarily the most critical concern if you can get it covered and take the time off during your workday. Other practical concerns might be, other than, say, location, the type of counseling. So again, if you go to Psychology Today, and I'm not getting paid by Psychology, I'm not even on psychologytoday.com, so I have no stake in this whatsoever. They're just very comprehensive, and on that website you can as part of the drop down is you can see what people work with, whether you are talking about ADHD, trauma, couples, children, family counseling. So you can get that information too. And then you can find out all kinds of information on those depending on how much people include on their site. You can find out where they went to school, how long they've been in practice, whether they do a free consultation, whether you can email them. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, other places you can find therapists, you can ask around, you can ask friends. You can get recommendations from people, from your doctor. Actually, is a really great place. So what I really wanted to talk about today, as far as the choosing a therapist and other than practical concerns, would be basically, I guess this would be a good time to possibly correct a misconception. So in the movies, I love movies. I'm always talking about them in therapy, maybe too much, I don't know. I have noticed that whenever there's especially a movie that is really the core of it is based in somebody who goes to a therapy, what it tends to be is this person who's sitting with their notebook in hand in this beautiful room, with a lot of books on the shelves and behind them, and really expensive vases on marble tables, and they've got this book in their hand, and they're kind of sitting back and looking at you, or not looking at you, but looking at the character in a very curious way, like, tell me about your mother, or that's very interesting, and how did that make you feel? So there's a lot of those stereotypes. Yeah, I have to admit, I've actually asked people, and how did you feel about that? I try to avoid saying, and how did that make you feel? I don't know, it just sounds so stereotypical or cliche. But you got to talk about feelings somehow. So in the movies, what you tend to see is somebody who's getting psychotherapy from a psychiatrist. And I just wanted to say that doesn't happen very often. Most likely who you're going to be seeing is a psychologist, a marriage and family therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, or a licensed counselor or clinical counselor. But most of the time, what you are going to be doing is choosing between, if you want to go and talk to somebody and have them listen to you for a 50 to 60 minute session, you're going to be looking for a psychologist or a master's level therapist. I'm a master's level therapist. I'm not a psychologist. And I've had a few people come to me, and especially in the clinic setting, when they find out, if they find out like, oh, I'm not a doctor, and then they go, oh, I'm not even a PhD doctor. That's what they want, and that's fine. I mean, if you want that, let's find you that. But what I would ask is, why do you want that? There's more to the story there. What are you looking for? Are you looking for someone who is going to be like that movie psychiatrist, who's going to say, very interesting, and kind of study you like a fascinating zoo animal? I don't know. Or just be more scientific or almost Freudian about it, which is another type of therapy that's kind of going out of style, but that sort of Freudian or Jungian psychoanalysis, where you see the person lying down on the couch, and then the therapist is sort of sitting behind them in a chair, and they're not looking at each other, and the person is just talking. That's kind of that's actually what's known as talk therapy. And around here, in my kind of small neighborhood here, I don't know anybody who practices like that. It's normally face to face. The difference between a psychologist and a master's level therapist, outside the education, would be, in my experience, in my opinion, the psychologist is going to be someone who has more of a scientific background. Turns out it's a really great day to let your dog out to chase a squirrel or do your lawn or your weed whacking, so I had to come inside. Anyway, a psychologist is someone who can do more things. So they have more schooling to do things like, they have extensive knowledge about psychometric testing. So they will be doing maybe a battery of tests at times. Not all psychologists will do this, but they may have more of that scientific mind, where they're going to be gathering evidence, gathering information in different ways. And you can do that by doing testing. Now, I would say in the majority of cases that I know of, testing is not necessary when you want to just go and be able to talk to somebody about a problem. Depression, anxiety. Testing is recommended when you have a question about things like ADHD, whether you had a brain injury in the past, so maybe you've been in an accident, hit your head, you lost consciousness, and you wonder if that has affected you. Or sometimes people just have different kind of strengths and weaknesses, or even learning disability type things. It's not necessarily a learning disability like you won't find out if you have dyslexia from a psychologist. I'll tell you that much. A psychologist and master's level therapists on a day-to-day level, sorry psychologists, but we're kind of all doing the same thing. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, because they put a lot of time into it, and I totally understand. There's people who do therapy or coaching, or under the guise of coaching, they do therapy and they're not licensed. And I think I put 10 plus years into what I am doing, and there's people who there's a guy on YouTube. He has a bachelor's in psychology. He says that right on his website, but he introduces himself as a psychologist. I would lose my license if I introduced myself as a psychologist, but because he has no license, he can just say that and nothing will ever happen. So what you want to do is find somebody who is a psychologist or a master's level psychotherapist, or someone that you are comfortable with who's going to listen to you and provide the kind of ethical strategies and help that are generally just accepted and monitored and blessed by some board. That's what I would recommend. That is, I guess, all I have to say about how to choose a therapist. There's actually so much more to it. So just an introduction. I wanted to clear up that misconception. I wanted to get that information out there that Psychology Today is a good resource if you, just nationwide, if you want to try to find out who are the helpers in your area who take insurance or are pre-licensed or are licensed people. To get you as much information as possible, to see if you can find out if you can email them, if you can have a phone consult, or maybe even a short face-to-face tryout to see if it's a good fit. Because I guess the one thing that I don't wish on anybody is to come to a counseling and be disappointed and be like, oh, I really, if the person is really collaborative, like myself, to have somebody come in and say, oh, I just wanted you to come and tell me I just wanted to come here and I wanted you to tell me what to do, and then I'll do it. I'm not going to do that. So fit is really important, and telling your person what your expectations are. If you want somebody who's going to study you and be really curious about you and provide their feedback about, here's what I think your problem is, and here's what I see as far as who you are, and more of that movie type, like, it's very fascinating, and why do you think that is? And someone who will just kind of throw back questions at you, have you be really doing all the work, really. There's benefits to that, but just there's all kinds of ways it can go, and you just want to find out the person's style. So that's what I would recommend. This is already way too long of a video, and it's in two places, and I've done my hair in two different ways. So I need to end this. If there's any additional information you would like to see, let me know. I have a page on this website for comments, and just write me an email or a comment. And so thanks for watching and visiting, and I hope until the next video you will be well.